I've had trouble hearing everybody here, and so I think now with this mic right here, people can hear me. And my name is Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here, and each of you members, and your patients sitting here. It makes it very easy to become a dead-end kid.
Could you give us your name?
My name is Ron Price. I'm a former major in the Army, Medical Service Corps, a Vietnamese vet that was interested in all the good things like justice and freedom and life. When I went to Vietnam and started running a hospital, I thought all you had to do is patch up the holes and keep the blood supply built up, and the person should live. By and by, after a number of plane loads of casualties, I realized one person could come in, shot up from one end to the other, and you'd think they'll never make it, and they did. So I'm interested in protection. As I would look around, someone would just maybe have a finger shot off and they would die, and it seemed like they should have lived. Since I was liaison to all of our Army medical units and all of the Vietnamese medical units, I saw people dying and realized we can be dead in one breath less. One breath less, and we are not walking around. Each of us are looking through our eyes at each other. Each of us are listening through our ears. Each of us are talking through our mouth and trying to hold our body up as our heart beats, and we think about breathing every once in a while, particularly if we're into deep breathing. Thank God our mothers, every one of us, decided to pay attention to us, to take care of us, to think about us. Else we wouldn't be here looking at each other, listening to each other, and hearing each other, and getting tired of sitting. Again, thank you for your patience. I've been on the other side of the desk there, and as we're looking out of our bodies, I've been feeling also different comments, deep breathing, trying to keep from crying. You wouldn't think a grown man could cry until you see him. And it has to do with life. It has to do with protection. And I was born at 2 pounds and 4 ounces. And slept in a shoebox in the top dresser drawer. And it was reminded many years about all the protection I got and what I could and couldn't eat and all those things. So my idea in looking at this bill for the lady here, Senator Vance, was the protection in the bill. Because I never did get up to 5 pounds in the incubator, so they sent me home, and I was still protected. And incidentally, my grandson was born at Bozeman Hospital dead. That is, he didn't have a heart rate. And when they told my wife, please come over to the hospital and suit up and stand by, I knew there was a major problem, because you normally don't let mothers come into the operating room and watch the delivery and all that stuff. When she saw the baby wasn't moving, she started to freak out, my wife. And the doctor, thank God, said, "Oh, what a beautiful baby." So my daughter did not know the nurse didn't have a heart rate. Somebody said, "Do you people pray?" And everybody started praying in the operating room, which is a miracle in itself. The nurse said, I've got a heart rate. Another miracle, as far as I'm concerned. And then By the time I showed up, there were 4 doctors standing there talking, which tells you there's a problem, because I used to run a hospital. And then they're going down the hall. The nurse says, I don't have a heart rate. All the people started praying again in the Bozeman Hospital to protect that baby, to do what the baby needs. And I knew the baby was trying to decide whether to stay in the body or not. They finally went to the Billings Hospital, and the doctor said to them on arrival, this baby will probably not be alive in the morning. But they hadn't reckoned with God yet. The next day, the baby, Kai, K-A-I, was alive, and the doctor said, oh, that baby's alive. That's a miracle. And this went on for several days, but it's got to do certain things in 24 hours, 48. That's protection. In the NICU, the new intensive care unit. After 2.5 months over there, the nurse came out and said, in 24 years, I've not ever seen a baby survive with that low pH. This is the second baby that has survived with that low pH. That's protection. Every kind of thing that can happen is protection. That bill is protection. Coming through Louisiana as a second lieutenant, I happened on an accident, and I knew the woman had a broken back. I ran up to the ambulance and told them, this woman has a broken back. You've got to get something under her back to keep cutting her cord in two. They looked at me like, who are you and what are you doing? But they did it. The woman took my hand on the way out and said, thank you, God, you came. We are so fortunate, and you are so fortunate that you are here, that you care enough about this bill that you'll come in this room and sit here and listen to point after point after point ad nauseum in some cases, and take abuse and still sit and think, I'm for life too. My mom protected me. And here I am, and my grandma protected me and everybody else, and so on. Where you are so fortunate, we're here to stand for protection, but you guys, you ladies and gentlemen, have life and death in your hands.
Could you get the microphone back to your, there you go.
Is that better?
That's better.
Because you not only are using your heart, and you're using your head, and you'll be using your hands to vote. And by God's grace, you'll be voting for life, for truth, for light that you see out of the baby's eyes, and the mother feels in the wiggle in the womb and all those things. My oldest boy is a brigadier general. So he's really not a boy these days, but he's at the State Department and has been working with life all of his life. My daughter is a doctor, and she has been helping people to see better. My other boy, Mark, is a colonel in the Army Medical Service Corps, helping life to stay alive and all those things. My daughter in Bozeman went to Auschwitz and saw all of the killings there and came home and had quite a time readjusting to that. But she's a beautician in Bozeman and helping the women to look better and so forth. So we're all mothering life in some way, shape, or form. But you are at the nexus of voting for life on paper that turns out to not just be words, but men, women, and children who will be generals and who will be doctors and who will be beauticians and clerks and waitresses and all the things that we can all name. Well, my wife had an abortion when she was young and believed that it was a law and it's okay, but she has regretted it every single year. And I hear about it. Often. And I just want to say, all of us are going to pass on one of these days. And people will say we died because we leave the physical body behind. But we go on in our mental, emotional, and spiritual body. And if somebody saw us, they'd say they saw a ghost. But we go on, and we get to see all the things we have done, day by day, year by year, month by month, because they're registered in the atmosphere around us, and anybody with the eye to see can see that. And thank God. And that, some people call that Judgment Day when they have that life review and they see everything they've done. But the judgment is really the person seeing what they did or could have done or should have done or might have done and didn't because of ignorance or whatever it was. But anyway, that is something we'll all know more about by and by. Thank you again for your service, your patience, your forgiveness. And as we look around, we know that some people don't have to die to be dead. We look in their eyes, and it seems like nobody's home. Other people we look at, and the light is flashing and shining in their face, in their eyes. Somebody protected them, and thank God for the mothers and you folks for protecting life in this Bill 302. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Jay Heslop, H-E-S-L-E-P. I live in Montana City, and I stand here today to urge you to vote yes on House Bill 302. I have a Patrick Henry quote. No free government or the blessings of liberty can be preserved to any people but by a firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and virtue. Please support liberty and justice for all. Please support House Bill 302. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is John Keenan, K-E-E-N-A-N, and I am here today in support of this bill. There has been too much bloodshed over the last 50 years, and they called what Hitler did a Holocaust. Well, this is of similar proportion. The only difference is it's our children. And I urge you to vote for this bill. Thank you very much.
Any other proponents?